Yo YouTube! This is my video for Wednesday the 27th of March, which was yesterday. So I was tramping out in Taunton when I woke up, and I hadn't got a job booked in, and so I was looking at the feed, not knowing what to expect, just taking it by ear. I'm sure, sort of taking it as it comes. And around about sort of 8 o'clock-ish, I was looking at the feed, and there wasn't an awful lot, but it was quite early. But I did get put a bid on a job that was going from Bridgewater to Bristol. And just a little job, and it said it was 2 stops in the main thing, and in the notes it said 2 extra stops. So I put a bid on straight away at £60, like a minimum price bid. And then I looked at the notes, and it said 2 extra stops. So I realised it was 4 stops. I thought, oh, that's a bit cheap really for 4 stops. But I might not get the job, so I'll leave it. I left it for a bit, and about 10 minutes later I did get a call, and the guy called me, and I said, first I said to him, how many stops is this? And we had a bit of a chat, and it ended up being, after they had the chat, that I was going to do a whole route for him. And I was unsure as to whether it's going to end up being a good day or a bad day. I really didn't know. He said it had about 9 stops. It was alcohol deliveries, but most of it was going to go to residential addresses, so small items. So I kind of agreed in principle to do it, and we said that at the end of the day we'd agree a price. He said it was £200, and I sort of said that sounds about right, but we'll do the job first, then at the end of it we'll see how it goes. Because I really didn't know how it was going to go. I don't know the area. 9 stops around Bristol. It could be really quick, it could be really long. So we didn't put on CX, just did it through text. And I arrived at the brewery at 9:45. And the brewery was initially closed, as in the barrier was down, and there's no one there. So I walked into the office, I met a forklift driver and just explained I was there to do a collection. He didn't really know what I was there for, but he went to the office. And then he came back out and asked me to park by the roller doors. So I did that, and then another guy came out, and I said to this guy, I'm a bit apprehensive about this. All I've got is postcodes. I don't know the actual addresses, and therefore I don't know what order to do this in. I've been given a rough route, but I don't know the area. And the guy from the brewery was really, really helpful. He knew the routes, he knew the postcodes. In the end, I had 13 stops to do, and he went through it. He had all the we had the order. We loaded up my van with this alcohol in order from the last stop at the front of my van to the first stop at the back of my van. And by the time I put everything in, it was 10:25. So about 45 minutes till we were loaded. But my whole van base was filled with bottles of alcohol and wine. And then I had this list of 13 bits of paper, all the addresses on, and I was ready to go. I did an order, and I felt really grateful for the fact that they'd been really organised. They were really organised. Both the shipper had given me a sort of a list, also the guy at the brewery gave me a list, and it's been really organised, and I would say very kind about the way that he dealt with me. So I then just got on with it. And it reminded me of my old days of being a multi-stop courier, but I used to do like 200 stops in a day, and this was like 13. It was so much easier. I didn't know the area at all, so I had to really rely on the order they'd given me. But I did record the mileage. Recorded the time, and basically I did 86 miles in total. And by the time I'd done the 13 stops, I finished at something like 3:45. So it's basically pretty much 6 hours from arriving to finishing. But I was finished in quite a remote area, so I sort of started driving towards Bristol at this point, and then the shipper called me and I asked for £190 for the job, which is like £30 per hour for 6 hours plus a tenner to get me from where I was to somewhere with a better chance to get a job. So that was then put on CX, and I just whizzed through all the system on CX to put it through and put the pod on. So that was a decent job, and then I was looking for a job, and it was sort of 4:15 now by the time I got to where I was. I was aiming for Bristol. There wasn't many jobs in Bristol. I was sort of heading back to. I was thinking about what to do again. I got to, I think I was at a place called Keynsham. I think that's what it is, outside, just to the east of Bristol. And then a job came up going from Frome to Cheadle and back to Frome in the morning. So pick up Frome before 5 o'clock, deliver to Cheadle in the morning, back to Frome, a return job. So the total number of miles is 378 miles there and back. I put a bid on at 75p a mile, came up to £280, and I won that pretty quickly. So I then whizzed myself back to Frome. It was 19 miles from where I was, about 47 minutes. I got to the place at about 5:05, just about in time, picked up the item, and then made my way towards Cheadle. And the reason why I picked that job, not only was it a good paying job, but it was getting me to Manchester, which is, I wanted to try and get there this week because I've got stuff on my van to hand to my daughter, some old items she wanted to have. So I was killing two birds with one stone with this, earning some money and delivering these items to my daughter. So I whizzed up the M6. On the way up, I did stop off and got a couple of Easter eggs for her and her boyfriend. And then I eventually got stuck in some traffic on the M6, and then arrived finally at her house at 10 to 11. And I was really fortunate because Cheadle was 7 miles from her house. So I just offloaded all my stuff and the eggs, and then made my way to the drop-off location for the morning. And it was really close. And so I stopped about 11:15, and I got some stats. And what I've done is I've basically put half of the job from Frome to Cheadle on yesterday's on the figures for this video, which is going to be for Wednesday, and I put the other half on Thursday's figures, so I give you some figures for the day. So for Wednesday, I did fill it with fuel on the way up from Frome to Cheadle. So on Wednesday, my average fuel price is now this week 15.08 pence per mile. I did 328 miles, 328. I worked for 13 and a quarter hours, and I earned £330. So that was the £190 plus half the 280, which I've ascribed to Wednesday. So 330. I mean, it's a bit fake because I didn't finish the job on Wednesday, but I'm sort of just doing it just for the sake of giving you some rough figures for the 2 days. My fuel cost for the day was £49.46, and that meant that I earned £281 after fuel for yesterday, for Wednesday, which is over my target, which I'm really pleased about. And that meant that I was then in Cheadle this morning. I tramped out overnight, not very far from the drop-off location, and then I have a return journey for today, Thursday, which I'll tell you about this afternoon. Before I go, I want to reiterate that the shipper that I work for and the brewery guy that I worked for yesterday were both fantastic people, really friendly, really professional, really helpful, and a kind of a cleanser from my experience the day before when I went to Feltham. So you can make a living as a shipper and any job being polite and kind and sort of customer service orientated. You don't have to be surly and disinterested and bored with this to make money. So I know that you can make money by being bored and surly. It's just not. I don't want to be part of your world if you're going to be like that. Right, I'll leave it at that because I've got a job on now, and I will tell you about today later on. Farewell, friends.